We're recapping all the games from Week 9 so you can get a good look at all the buy, sells, holds, and trades for fantasy football. But before we do, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're going to go hard in the paint looking at the waiver wire. On Tuesdays, we look at 20-plus wide receivers, 20-plus running backs. We're looking at these matchups to help you set your lineups. We're doing deep dives on these players every single day on as many players as possible. Multiple videos a day. Click that subscribe button. Stop missing out. Ric Flair's watching. Do not disappoint Ric Flair. But we're starting with our first game that we're recapping. Cowboys, Falcons. This one was a fun one, and a lot went down. Dak Prescott got hurt. They're going to do an MRI on him to see how long he's going to be out. Cooper Rush stepped in. I do not think you're going to want to make that decision for fantasy football. Rico Dowdle got you 75 yards. He also had a big catch in this game as well. CeeDee Lamb came back in, but he's also getting an MRI, so we're going to be watching him. Jake Ferguson got 10 targets, 7 catches, 71 yards, 14 fantasy points. CeeDee Lamb got you this fantasy points as well. Turpin got 4 targets. Dowdle got 6. Jalen Brooks got 5 targets, another name to pay attention to. Jalen Tolbert got 6 targets as well, also got a touchdown, 3 catches, 19 yards. Rico Dowdle got it done in the rushing game. Dalvin Cook, hardly anything at all. Dak, 30 yards on the ground. Looking at Bijan Robinson over here, 86 rushing yards. Tyler Algier got the touchdown, though. Ray McLeod got a look in the run game. Darnell Mooney got the touchdown, 5 catches, 88 yards. Drake London got the touchdown, but he hurt his hip, so we did not see him for the remainder of the game. Probably would have had a big performance. Bijan Robinson, 7 catches, 59 yards. All in all, a lot happened. We lost Drake, we lost CD, we lost Dak. We're losing everybody here. Ray McLeod gets a bump up off the waiver wire going into this week. Kirk Cousins, 222 yards and 3 touchdowns in this matchup. He's going to be a QB1 for the week. Dolphins, Bills. This was another wild matchup. The Bills win 30-27. Josh Allen, 235 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. We also rushed for 7 yards. James Cook got it on the ground, but just 44 rushing yards. Ty Johnson got a little bit of work. Ray Davis got a little bit of work, but most noted in the passing game with that long catch and run. 1 touchdown, 2 targets in this matchup. Khalil Shakur was getting a lot of targets, had 7 of them, 6 catches, 50 yards. Dalton Kincaid got 10 targets, but it did not amount to much, just 7.2 PPR fantasy points. Keon Coleman came out in this matchup, so something to note throughout the week. If not, you may want to pay attention to Matt Collins because he's been getting the deep balls downfield. Scored a touchdown in this matchup, got you some fantasy production. Tyreek Hill's back, but we're waiting for him to really spike. 4 catches for 80 yards. We also saw Jalen Waddle get a little bit of work. We got that touchdown that kind of saved us, but not enough for our fantasy stat sheets. Devin A. Chain got a touchdown, 8 catches, 58 yards on top of what he did in the run game. 12 carries, 63 yards, and a touchdown. Mostert got a little bit of action here. And then on top of the 2 balls caught for 32 yards. Jonnu Smith got you about 9 fantasy points, which is okay. It's going to push for tight end 1 status this week. Jalen Wright, 6 carries, 18 yards, but we got a little bit more work in this matchup. All in all, this was a fun game. This one was just a fun one to watch, one to note on the red zone. Tua got you 2 touchdowns. Both quarterbacks surpassed 200 yards passing, which in 2024 is a good amount these days because we're having a lot of weeks where quarterbacks are struggling. But again, this one was a fun one to watch. Bengals, Raiders, and the Bengals routed the Raiders at home, 41-24. Gardner Minshew and Desmond Ridder was back there at quarterback. Alexander Madison got the touches with 9 carries, 36 yards. Jacoby Myers was the story for the Raiders here. 11 targets in this game, 8 catches, 105 yards, and he's just going to get workload going forward. He's going to get top-tier workload, top-tier opportunities, and some weeks that's going to cash like this. Some weeks it's not. It's due to the quarterback play, the funk in the offense, and everything else. Brock Bowers for a tight end, that's a lot of work with 8 targets. He got a touchdown, 5 catches, 45 yards. You're going to take that. After that, you don't want any other Raider. You don't want any other Raider. Chase Brown getting it done. He's explosive. They are riding him out like a prom night. 27 carries, 120 yards. Mike Gesicki went off today with 2 touchdowns and 100 yards. You're getting him off the waiver wire. He needs picked up off waivers right now if he's still there. Should not be still there because this is 2 weeks in a row he hit. Jamar Chase, 11 targets in this game, blowing up. Chase Brown, more work in the passing game. Chase Brown going off. He is the dude for the Bengals. Eric All, you need to pay attention to him for Dynasty Fantasy Football because he keeps emerging in the box score. Drew Sample caught 4 balls as well. Yoshi scored a touchdown. He also got 4 targets in this game. We saw Joe Burrow just play well today. 5 touchdowns. Did throw a pick later in the game. 251 yards. Quarterbacks for the Raiders are just a mess. Browns, Chargers. Browns take a loss 27-10. Jameis Winston, 3 picks in this game. 235 yards, but it doesn't really kill the wide receivers as Cedric Tillman, 6 catches, 75 yards, and a touchdown, 11 targets. Hit 3 weeks in a row. Jerry Jeudy, 11 targets, 7 catches, 73 yards. Elijah Moore, 9 targets in this matchup. So in deeper leagues, you're looking at him. He's not going to hit too often because he gets the short targets, but you're looking at him. He's still getting volume. Our chief, David Njoku, got 7 targets here, but did not amount to much fantasy production. Quentin Johnston went off. He's back from injury, and you need to note him. 4 catches, 118 yards, and a touchdown. Ladd McConkey did well in this game. Joshua Palmer did well. J.K. Dobbins, 85 yards and 2 touchdowns, did well in the box score. He's holding off Kamani Vidal. But all in all, we got a lot of fantasy producers in this matchup. Patriots, Titans, we got a wild one here. We went to overtime. Drake May had that one play where he was back there like a chicken with his head cut off, just eluding everybody. Makes the throw downfield. Also rushes for 95 yards. 9.5 fantasy points just running the football. Konami code Drake May here. Just getting it done, but we couldn't get the win. Ramondre Stevenson got the touchdown. Also had a huge catch as well, and he got 5 catches, 38 yards, and a touchdown receiving. Hunter Henry back in the stat sheet. Him and Drake May, they're a good pair. Kendrick Bourne, 6 targets. DeMar Douglas, 9 targets. Kayshon Boutte, 6 targets. Those are the 3 wide receivers you want to chase in this offense. And in game scripts where the ball looks like it's going to be pushed, you're going to be looking at one of those 3. This is not a matchup where the game script's going to be pushed, though. Calvin Ridley, back-to-back games where he hit for you in fantasy with 5 catches and 73 yards. Over 10 fantasy points there. Nick Westbrook is going to be a guy that you're going to chase off waivers. This is a team where you don't want to chase a wide receiver too, though, but you may have to in some spots. But again, when the game script's pushed, he's going to get some targets. Got a touchdown in this matchup. Tony Pollard, back from injury after not practicing this week. 28 carries and 128 yards. Once you got the news Pollard was in, Chestnut should have been out because this was all predicated on Pollard being out. Chestnut, 5 carries, 22 yards. Almost got the touchdown, though, on that one drive. Mason Rudolph, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. Just good enough to get the job done. This one was wild, though. Commanders, Giants, we have another fun one here. Tyrone Tracy got you 66 yards on the ground. Daniel Jones, 54 yards and a touchdown. Malik Neighbors, 11 targets. And we're just crushing the targets every week. 9 catches, 59 yards. Good enough. Theo Johnson, we've talked about him a few times this year. He's getting a lot of work in the passing game, getting those opportunities, and you're just waiting for the touchdowns to come. He got you one this week. More than likely, you didn't start him, but maybe you got him in best ball, and you got something out of that. Darius Slayton came out with an injury. Wan'Dale Robinson got you 4 targets in this matchup. However, we only had 26 passing attempts for Daniel Jones and 174 rushing yards, so not much passing volume in this game from the quarterback, really hurting these wide receivers. But you're looking at the run game here. Tyrone Tracy laid an egg on you. He got that 1 catch for 3 yards and 66 rushing yards. Chris Rodriguez came in. Brian Robinson should be back sooner than later, but might be a guy you pay attention off waivers just for the touches, not because he's a stud. Jaden Daniels, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns. Noah Brown comes in with 6 targets, and he's starting to get some work. He's starting to get the opportunities, so that's a player to pay attention to. Austin Eckler, 3 catches, 41 yards. There's 7 fantasy points right there, plus the 42 yards rushing and the touchdown there. So he did all right for you. Diami Brown got a catch. Terry McLaurin got you 2 touchdowns on 2 catches. That's huge. That's 12 points just on the touchdowns. Another 1.9 on the yardage. And then 2 points on the catches. That's okay. This one was a nasty one. Fun one to watch. Saints, Panthers, another crazy one. Derek Carr heaves it. Chris Olave gets smashed. Out with a concussion. Probably going to be out for a bit. Alvin Kamara just carries the load, though. He carries the boat. 155 yards rushing, 6 catches, 60 yards receiving. And then after that, you just look at the receivers here. And Cedric Wilson came out and came back in. There ain't much there. There ain't much there to chase. Taysom Hill's the guy you may want to chase, or you probably will be chasing this week. 4 catches, 41 yards. On top of that, 5 carries, 19 yards, and a touchdown. He's just going to get work. And if something happens to Kamara, since the running backs here are decimated, Taysom Hill will get more work. Maybe up to like 10 carries a game, something like that. That being said, Taysom Hill is going to be the guy you're chasing off waivers. Juwan Johnson's probably going to get some run here. And then you're like fighting or itching yourself between Wilson, Tipton, and maybe MVS. Maybe, and you don't want to do that, but I expect Chris Olave to be out for some time. You're looking at the Panthers here. Jalen Coker did not splash. He was our great hope for the week because he was that UDFA that came from nothing, starting to become something. 3 targets in this matchup. Xavier Legette, 6 targets, catching 4 balls, 33 yards, and a touchdown. That's good to see the rookie get some work. JT Sanders, we noted him in Xavier Legette's You Need video that he's been churning out the workload. We got 5 targets in this matchup, 4 catches, 87 yards. I would not look at him in traditional leagues unless I'm absolutely hurting that bad, which you shouldn't. There should be other tight ends that are more dependable because the Panthers are not dependable. But if you're in a 16-teamer, this could be a tight end you're looking at. Somebody to pay attention to, or if you're in a deeper league. Jonathan Mingo got a target. He was on the field quite a bit. Just 1 target, though. Miles Sanders, 2 targets in this game. And you're looking at the run game. Chuba Hubbard got you 2 touchdowns. And he's just been producing. It does not matter what's happening with the Panthers. Chuba is getting it done. Broncos, Ravens, and the Ravens smashed the Broncos. Lamar Jackson was 100% in completion rate for the longest time. 3 touchdowns passing, 288 yards. Zay Flowers goes off again. And we're going to look at his route chart tomorrow. But he was all over the place, running around, making up his own routes. 2 touchdowns, 127 yards. Justice Hill had that big catch down the sideline. Nelson Aguilar got a target. Rashad Bateman got 4 targets, 3 catches, 25 yards. Then over to the Broncos side, Cortland Sutton was the man. 7 catches, 122 yards. Deep ball city to him. After that, it's not really much. Javonte Williams, 2 catches, 42 yards. The rushing attack for both teams is Derrick Henry or bust because 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's solid. I wouldn't be surprised if he surpasses 20 touchdowns. Javonte Williams, 42 rushing yards. Bo Nix got you 36. He gets you a little floor in rushing production every week. Audric Estime, they said they were going to get him more work. 5 carries, 35 yards, but look at the game script here. You're not going to keep running him up the gut. You're going to be throwing it. But Audric Estime, pay attention to him for the back 9 of the season. The Broncos are 5-4 right now, so they're still in the hunt. They're trying to be in the hunt, so they might ride out Javonte Williams longer than expected, but have the finger on the trigger just in case Javonte Williams goes down with an injury. Looking at the quarterbacks, though, Bo Nix, 223 yards. Lamar Jackson, pristine. Jaguars, Eagles, we have another fun one here. The Eagles get out on top early. Jaguars come back, try to push it. They don't get the job done. Trevor Lawrence throws 2 interceptions. Travis Etienne and Tank are back from injuries. Don't get the job done on the ground. Evan Ingram, 5 catches, 45 yards. Parker Washington, we were watching him. 6 targets, though. We got the target share. 3 catches, 41 yards. Brian Thomas Jr., 2 catches, 22 yards. Getting some work there in the passing game with 4 targets coming back from that injury. The Eagles just roll. A.J. Brown goes out with an injury. Devonta Smith gets a touchdown, 4 catches, 87 yards. Saquon Barkley does the most athletic thing you've ever seen. He does like a back hop over a dude. 159 yards rushing, a touchdown on top of 40 yards receiving and a touchdown. He's that dude in the offense. If A.J. Brown's out for a long time, it's the Devonta Smith and Saquon Barkley show. Looking at the quarterbacks, though, Jalen Hurts, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. Gets you a little bit on the ground with 67 yards and a touchdown. That's good with the Konami code. Trevor Lawrence got you 8 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns, but 2 picks as well. Not hitting 200 yards passing. Bears and Cardinals. The Cardinals rout the Bears. Caleb Williams, 217 yards, no touchdowns here. DeAndre Swift gets you 51 yards on the ground. Caleb Williams, 5 yards on the ground, so the Konami code wasn't there. Rome Odunze is back. 7 targets, 5 catches, 104 yards, so about 15.4 PPR fantasy points. Keenan Allen, 4 catches, 36 yards. DJ Moore, that's like 3 or 4 games in a row he has missed. That is huge. DeAndre Swift helps you in the passing game. Hopefully you got him in PPR. 6 catches, 31 yards, so 9 points in receiving. So he's okay this week. Trey McBride, 3 catches, 35 yards. So 6.5 PPR fantasy points. The rest of the receivers didn't get you anything as they only have 154 yards passing. James Conner, 107 yards, but came out and came back in. Amari Demarcus gets you a touchdown, 59 yards. Trey Benson, 37 yards, 4.6 yards per carry, and a touchdown. Both these running backs are going to want them if something happens to James Conner because both of them are good. Both of them have burst. Both of them have upside. Kyler Murray, 54 passing yards. That's ugly. And 6 yards on the ground. No passing touchdowns. Just getting it done on the ground with Trey McBride, Amari Demarcus, Trey Benson, and James Conner just soaking up the yards. Lions-Packers, this one was in the rain. Jordan Love throws for 273 yards and an interception. We didn't get any touchdowns. The yardage was kind of up there. Josh Jacobs, 95 rushing yards, no touchdowns. And Manny Wilson got the touchdown, though, so he got you a little bit of fantasy production here. Jaden Reed, 5 catches and 113 yards, 6 touchdowns. Carousel effect here, full effect here for the Packers. Christian Watson went off last year against the Lions. I know that in a few different spots. 7 targets. They were trying to get him the football. 3 catches, 37 yards. Tucker Kraft got you a little bit of something, but not enough for fantasy football. Dubs was in there a lot. Not enough for fantasy football. Josh Jacobs, not enough to make up for not getting a touchdown in the receiving game. Amon-Ra St. Brown, just getting it done again. Sam Laporta, not enough. The rest of the receivers, not enough in the passing game. David Montgomery, 7.3 points on the ground. Jahmyr Gibbs got you a touchdown and 65 yards, so he has been hot this year. He has been very hot. But we're looking at Goff, 145 passing yards. Not enough fuel for the receiving fire, but we did get the touchdown. We got enough fuel for the Packers in. But honestly, no touchdowns in the receiving game, but you did get a lot out of Jaden Reed. Rams, Seahawks, this was another fun one. Week 9 might have been the best week of the year so far when it comes to games and chaos here. Rams win it 26-20. Matthew Stafford, 298 yards, 363 yards for Geno Smith, 3 touchdowns for Geno, 2 touchdowns to Matty Stafford. Kyren Williams, 69 yards on the ground on 22 carries, 3.1 yards per carry. That's not looking good. The volume's up there with him. He's out there doing a lot, pass blocking, a lot of opportunities for this guy, a lot of snaps. I hope this doesn't wear him down for the back end of the season. Cooper Kupp, 11 catches, 104 yards. Puka Nacua, out with an injury, back in, comes back in, plays, and then gets booted out. 1 catch and 11 yards. Demarcus Robinson, 2 touchdowns in this game. Get him off waivers because even when Puka's in there with Kupp, he sneaks out on some plays and he's getting targeted. He had 9 targets in this matchup. He had targets last week, scored a touchdown last week. Jackson Smith-Njigba hits again. Hits again with DK Metcalf out. Tyler Lockett gets you a touchdown. Kenneth Walker, solid. You got your 3 catches, 24 yards, so 5 points there. 83 yards rushing, no touchdowns. Okay, solid. But after that, there's not much going on with the Seattle Seahawks from a fantasy football standpoint. But this game was fun. This one was fun to watch. The big thing to note is Kyren Williams is getting a lot of workload. The efficiency is starting to drop a little bit. We're seeing that in some of these matchups. He's also very touchdown dependent according to that as well from what we're seeing here. 69 yards on the ground, however, has been solid every other week for fantasy football. On the receiving end, 1 catch for 26 yards, so 3.6 fantasy points there. So he was all right. You're okay with what he did. But again, watch the volume for the back 9 of the season. That's the recap from the Week 9 Sunday games. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.